What's good, everybody? Ugh. Review time. So, if I butcher the name, I apologize. So I know a lot of people aren't really new to the Fate series. I think Fate's been around relatively since like the late 1990s. Like I think the manga started in like 1998 or 99. The very first Fate series. Or I could be misspeaking. It might have been the 2000s. I really might be misspeaking, so don't quote me. But this is a adaptation that I watched on Netflix. This series, which apparently is but isn't canon to like the actual Fate series. I know what was it? It was introduced on Netflix, and y'all know Netflix when they do their own adaptations and shit. But anyway, this is what got me into the actual Fate series. Fate Apocrypha. Now me, I'm pretty old school or whatever. I still like, Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Gundam. What was it? Roni Kenshin, all that other stuff. But these were one of the animes, and like I said, animes. But this was one of the animes, what it is, whatever. But this anime right here is what got me to feel comfortable branching off. I don't know. Like I feel like when you make a series, like it just. Plus, I'm very, very hard like to please and impress. I'm not gonna hold you, but this anime really did impress me, which made me look into the other series. So there's multiple Fate series. You got the original Fate, and then the Fate Stay Night. They made video games about it and all that other stuff. So, but this series has nothing to do with the actual canon series. They I think when Netflix got a hold of it, or the writers or whatever, when it was introduced to Netflix, I'm wondering if it's on Crunchyroll too. But I do know that, like, even when you open it, it says a Netflix series. So I'm like, okay. But anyway, basically the basis of it, there's a war between masters and servants. The servants are the heroes of old, so it could be like a god, it could be like a gallant hero. I said gallant, but like Lancelot or King Arthur or man, shit. When I was streaming Fate Samurai, man, they brought Samson from the Bible, so they pull they pull certain figures in there, heroic spirits. So they pull, I guess, people that would have been deemed I guess heroes of their time. And again, they branch off to like many different folklores. It doesn't matter if it's like, well, I would say Christianity, but like they would say, I guess for here, like Western folklore or Eastern folklore. It could be Norse mythology. It could be Chinese, Japanese mythology. Like what was it? Fate Samurai. They used Masashi Miyamoto, and the original Fate series they used Kojiro. Musashi's rivals. So I guess it just depends on the writers and who they deemed a hero. So what was it? I think in one series they used Leonidas, and that's from Greek mythology. What was it? In this series they had Achilles. So what was it like big names? They had Achilles, they had Siegfried, they had Jane d'Arc, and I believe that was from the Renaissance. No, I could be. No, I really might be misspeaking, but yeah, the the servants are heroic spirits, and they get summoned to do battle with other heroic spirits. And to make a long story short, the last one standing gets a wish granted. So the master is a present day mage or alchemist, or he has some type of special power. So the Holy Grail, well, that's the prize that grants you your wish. But the Holy Grail um if you win, and again you have to beat the other heroic spirits through battle. That's the basis of all the that's the basis of all of the each series. Just, basically like the Highlander, there can only be one. But when you summon these heroic spirits, they're they get put into a class, and if I remember correctly, you have Saber, Archer, Berserker, Rider. That's four. There's a name for the mage. Assassin, and I cannot think of the seventh one to save my life. Hold on. Thank God there's Google. Fate. Classes explained. Alright. What are all the different servant classes? I just need an image. Hold on. That doesn't tell me. My bad, y'all. Okay, here we go. You have Saber. Okay. Saber, Archer, Lancer, Rider, Caster, Assassin, and Berserker. These are the 7 main classes now. In the anime, there's as the manga continues, there's different classes being introduced, but the ace of the show is always the Saber class. That's like if it was a chessboard, like that's the queen. So the Holy Grail is the king, and the Saber class is the queen chess piece. They can do all the moves. They're the most powerful class, whatever. So these, depending on the heroic spirit and what they did, they would fall into a certain class. Like Masashi Miyamoto, he was the greatest like samurai of his time in feudal Japan. He wasn't rivaled. He was put in a berserker class. King Arthur was put in a of course he would be, but King Arthur was put in a saber class. He was a king, he was a ruler, he conquered countries. What was it? Achilles was put in a rider class. I would have put him. But yeah, either way, these mages, these heroes, they come together, they battle it out, they fight it out, and whoever wins, they get a wish granted. So what made this series different from the other Fate series? In this series, everything got split up into a faction, and so instead of there can only be one, they try to make it, well, which it ended only with one person winning any damn way. That's the basis of Fate. But they try to do a team versus team. They had Team Red and they had Team Black. And again, Team Red had all their classes from Saber all the way to Caster, and Team Black had all their mages and servants from Saber to Caster. So, a lot of good references in this show. There was a lot of passion. Each servant and master wanted their own wish. Like some of them were more valiant than others. Some of them were really, really dark. There were a lot of, I feel like, life lessons, and I think that's what anime try to lean towards, if that makes sense. Like they, I would recommend this show. There's 2 seasons, so a total of 24 episodes. You're bound to have a favorite character. And then one of the things I liked about the Fate series in general, it really kind of made you look up some of the historic, because they really are basing a lot of these characters, not the mages, but the heroic spirits. They really are basing a lot of these heroic spirits off of whether again they were historical figures or gods of their time. That's who that's who they base the heroic spirits off of, and it makes you want to do like your research. Like Karna in this show, the hero of giving, I don't want to misspeak, so, but I think based on the research I did, that was, he was a god in I don't want to say the Indies because that's going to sound so racist, but he he was a god to a culture, and like when you look up, when you read into him and some of the things he did as a god or even his upbringing, is actually kind of like pretty sad. The fall of King Arthur, the fall of Jane d'Arc, like when you look into like especially how she died, burned at the stake and all that other stuff, but she did a lot of historical things, like she fought in battles. Like I think that was the basis like of the Fate series. They just wanted to give you like, I don't know. To me, I learned a lot. Like when they, even the game that I streamed, like they really, like with Samson, like they played his strengths and his weaknesses in that game. Like they brought up Delilah and that and everything. I was like, oh shit. So, like there was a fight, a boss battle that you did, and like you really couldn't beat that motherfucker unless you cut off his hair. And if you read the Bible, you understand like the basis of that and why that shit was so important. I'm like, damn, they really did this motherfucker dirty. But to this series, if I were to give it a rating, character, art, characters, art, battle sequences, and all that other stuff, I would give this a 10 out of a 10. Me, especially for a Netflix series. Now, and the only reason I say this, like I said, this anime introduced me to the Fate series, and I think because of how they split it up, faction versus faction, like it kind of, to me, it set the bar too. Well, to me, it set the bar too high for the other Fate series, because the original Fate series is not faction versus faction. It's just master and servant versus master and servant. Regardless of the abilities, and which one's stronger or weaker, there, there's like only a set group of people versus groups. So when I first watched this, and then when I went to watch the original Fate, mind you, that one came out like again in the early 2000s. I think, what did I say, 2005 was one. But anyway, like I was disappointed with that anime, but then I realized, I said, well, compared to, what was it? It was just too slow for me. But then again, too, just because I started watching the rest of the Fate series. And again, they got some good moments, but right now, based on the animes that I've watched, the Fate series, none of them have topped Fate Apocrypha yet. I know there's another one right now that's being developed. It hasn't come out in English yet, but I don't know, they had a badass fight sequence that I saw, and I said, you know what? I can get into this. I can watch it. So, but again, for this rating, for this anime, I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10. I'm going to move on to the game. One of the games that I streamed later on in the day and post about that. I think I'm going to go ahead and do Nier Automata. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed my review. Like, subscribe, support the channel, all that other stuff. Yada, yada, yada. Peace.